Take a look in your wallet. Or maybe you don't even carry one anymore. A few colorful banknotes, a plastic card. To understand why money works today, we have to travel back to a world where it didn't exist at all. Imagine waking up 10,000 years ago. There are no stores, no banks, no prices. Everything you own was either made by your family or traded with someone else. If you raise sheep, but your neighbor grows wheat, trading seems simple. You give them wool. They give you grain. That's barter, the oldest form of trade. For thousands of years, civilizations relied on it. But barter had one enormous flaw. It only worked if both people wanted exactly what the other had at exactly the same time. Imagine you're a farmer looking for shoes. You find a shoemaker. Unfortunately, he doesn't need wheat. He needs meat. So now you have to find a butcher willing to trade meat for wheat before returning to the shoemaker. But what if the butcher wants pottery instead? Suddenly, one simple purchase turns into a chain of frustrating negotiations. As villages became towns and trade expanded, this problem only grew larger. Then came another question. How much is anything actually worth? Is one cow worth 20 chickens? 30? 50? What if someone only wants half a cow? There were no price tags and no universal standard. Every trade began with another argument over value. Some goods spoiled within days. Others were difficult to transport. Carrying your entire wealth as livestock wasn't exactly convenient. People across the world slowly discovered the same solution without ever meeting each other. Instead of exchanging random goods, they began using items that nearly everyone agreed had value. Not because they were magical, not because kings demanded it, but because everyone trusted someone else would accept them tomorrow. That simple idea became one of humanity's greatest inventions. Different cultures chose different kinds of money. On Pacific Islands, rare seashells became valuable because finding them required dangerous journeys across open oceans. In many ancient societies, salt served as currency. Today it sits on every dinner table. But thousands of years ago, it preserved food through harsh winters. In some regions, it was literally the difference between survival and starvation. Elsewhere, people traded tea bricks, iron tools, animal pelts, beads, or even cocoa beans. The objects themselves weren't important. What mattered was that almost everyone recognized their value. Money wasn't really about the item, it was about shared belief. One of history's strangest currencies appeared on the island of Yap. There, people carved enormous limestone discs called rye stones. Some weighed several tons and stood taller than a person. Obviously, nobody carried them to the market. Instead, the stones often remained exactly where they were for decades. When ownership changed, everyone in the community simply remembered who the new owner was. The stone never moved. Only the agreement did. That sounds surprisingly modern. After all, when you transfer money through your banking app today, no physical cash travels anywhere either. Numbers change inside computers because everyone agrees they represent value. In a strange way, those giant stone discs weren't as primitive as they seem. They revealed the same truth that still defines money today. Trust matters more than the object itself. For thousands of years, money kept changing, but every new form had the same purpose: making trade easier. Money continued evolving because trade itself kept evolving. As cities expanded and merchants began traveling hundreds or even thousands of kilometers, carrying bags filled with shells, salt, or heavy metal objects became increasingly impractical. Trade was becoming international, and the world needed something smaller, stronger, and far easier to recognize. Around 600 BCE, in the ancient kingdom of Lydia, located in what is now Western Turkey, a revolutionary idea appeared. Instead of trading raw pieces of precious metal, people began using small, standardized coins. Each coin had a fixed weight, a consistent purity, and an official stamp guaranteeing its value. For the first time, buyers no longer had to weigh metal or argue over its quality during every transaction. Trust had been built directly into the money itself. The idea spread astonishingly fast. The Greeks adopted coins and refined the system. Soon afterward, the Persian Empire, one of the largest empires the world had ever seen, minted its own currency to connect territories stretching across 3 continents. Then came Rome. Roman coins weren't just money, they were political tools. They carried the faces of emperors, military victories, and symbols of power. Every transaction reminded people who ruled the empire. Coins transformed economies. Soldiers could receive regular salaries. Governments collected taxes more efficiently. Merchants traded across vast distances with people they had never met. Entire civilizations became more connected simply because everyone trusted the same currency. But coins weren't perfect. Precious metals were limited. Large payments required carrying heavy bags that attracted thieves. As trade exploded along routes like the Silk Road, merchants transporting fortunes in silver and gold faced enormous risks. Losing a shipment didn't just mean losing money. It could destroy an entire business. So another innovation appeared. Instead of carrying piles of coins, merchants in ancient China began leaving their money with trusted deposit holders. In return, they received written receipts proving ownership. Those receipts were originally meant to be exchanged back for coins. But something unexpected happened. People started accepting the receipts themselves as payment. Why carry heavy metal if a piece of paper represented the exact same value? By the 11th century, during the Song dynasty, China introduced the world's first government-issued paper money. It was lighter, easier to transport, and far more practical than metal coins. For merchants traveling hundreds of kilometers, it was revolutionary. The rest of the world took much longer to accept the idea. Many people simply couldn't believe paper could be valuable. After all, gold and silver had value on their own. Paper seemed worthless. But once again, the object wasn't what mattered. Trust was. Centuries later, banks across Europe adopted similar concepts. Instead of storing gold at home, wealthy merchants deposited it in secure vaults. In return, banks issued paper notes promising that the owner could exchange them for a specific amount of gold whenever they wished. Those promises soon began circulating as money themselves. People stopped redeeming the notes because it was easier to spend the paper than carry the gold. Eventually, governments took control of issuing currency. National banknotes replaced countless local forms of money. Economies grew larger than ever before. Then, during the 20th century, another historic shift occurred. Many countries abandoned the gold standard, meaning their currencies were no longer directly backed by physical gold reserves. For the first time in history, money's value depended almost entirely on confidence in governments, central banks, and the economy itself. Today, most money doesn't even exist physically. Around the world, the vast majority of transactions happen digitally. Salaries arrive as numbers in a bank account. Purchases happen with a tap of a phone. Investments move across continents in milliseconds. Cryptocurrency has introduced yet another chapter. Yet despite thousands of years of innovation, from shells and salt to coins, paper bills, bank accounts, and blockchain, the underlying idea has never truly changed. Money has taken many forms throughout history, but in the end, its true value has never been gold, paper, or numbers on a screen.